Taka dege, taka dege, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka dege, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka dege, taka dege, ka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, ta. All right. Welcome back, everyone. All right. So in this final lesson, we're going to be looking at rhythmic modulation. What is that? I want to know. And we're also going to be working with modulating the pulse, and we're going to do some time shifting, some shape shifting, literally musical shape shifting, all right? So I'm excited. And I'm going to give you something that I developed personally, not exclusively, not in a bubble, like taking pieces of this and pieces of that from some influences like Indian drumming from India. But it's still like not that, right? So we're not doing solkatu and konakol. We're not going to do that, but we're going to borrow some elements from those traditions. If you'd like to learn more about those, you can do that on your own time later. But I'm going to give you some things that you can use right away, building on this idea of polyrhythms, polymeters, but a little different, all right? So pretty simple concept. What we're going to do is we're going to take a pulse, and we're going to divide it into 3 or 4 or 2, right? Probably 3s and 4s mostly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. But I want to use some different, I want to use some vocables right now. And so what are those? Those are just sounds that we say to approximate the drum. Like in Indian drumming, they have a lot of sounds. Takadimi, or they have sounds for the drum sounds. Baba Olatunji had his Gungoro Pata method. There's all sorts of different ways that people, even when we say bass tone slap, really, we're talking about sort of, well, not really. Those are words. But people will use, vocables. In other words, they're just sounds that sort of approximate. They're like onomatopoetic sounds, right? They're meant to approximate the sound of a drum. But takadimi is, or takadege, I like to say takadege, those are also just rhythmic markers. They're just syllables that sort of roll off the tongue a little bit easier. I also want to give a shout out right now to Reinhard Flasher and his work in what he developed called taketina, which is a whole thing in its own right, which you guys can look into if you're interested in developing your rhythmic capacity in a really fun and creative way, maybe in a group setting with some guidance. That's really cool stuff. So Taketina, look it up. He has a book. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to say takadege for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 ianda. And I'm going to say takade. I'm just going to shorten it and take the ge off the end. Takadege or takade. All right, so either takadege, 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 or takade, 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 all right, for a 3. Okay, so that's where we're starting. What we're going to do is we're going to turn a phrase of 4. We're going to take a beat. I'm going to take the phrase takadege, 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 and then I'm going to turn it into phrases of 3. So takadege, 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 takade, 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 takade. So what I'm doing there is I'm keeping the 8th note the same, right? Da 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 da, or 16th note in this case, I guess. Da 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 da. But I'm, instead of phrasing it in a 4 cycle, da 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 da, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. I'm going to phrase it in a 3 cycle while keeping the value or the duration the same, right? So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1. All right, that's what we're doing. So I'm going to slow it down a little. I'll let you know when we're shifting, and we're going to shift gears. All right, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Kind of excited, going fast. Takadege, 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 takadege. Let's shift this time. Takade, 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 takade. Takade, 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 back. And tucka dege, 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 tucka shift, tucka de, 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 shift, tucka dege, 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 tucka de, 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 ta. All right. So you get the idea, right? So that's going from a 4 to a 3. And what I want you guys to do here is to really accent that first ta and bring it out a little bit. Maybe even you could, if you have an extra hand, like you could even play something on that if you want. That's kind of interesting. So play another sound on that. But we're going to move on and go from a 3 to a 4 phrase. So a triplet to a quadruplet, I guess. That sounds like this. So we're going to start with takade in the beat. Takade, 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 ge, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, ge, takade, takade, ge, ta. You get that? Eighth note stays the same, right? The dot dee dot dee dot dee. That's just consistent, right? Bop 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 bop. So we call that like the eighth note stays the same. In this case, you could think of it as an eighth note or a 16th note. It doesn't matter, right? Because notation is not the music. Notation is just how you think about the music or how you write it out. Not important. Say eighth note, say 16th note. You can say 164th note. It doesn't matter. But the note, the subdivision note stays the same, but we're changing the phrasing, which is kind of a little bit mind-bending, right? So let's review that again, and then I'm going to add an element to it because I'm just a glutton for punishment. So I'm going to make it even more challenging, or just I'm going to modulate my whole pulse later. You'll see. All right, so we're going to start off with a couple examples. Let's review what we've done so far. We're going to do 4 to 3, all right? 4s to 3s. Tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege. Let's go. Tucka de, 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 tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka dege, tucka de, 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 tucka. That was a rhythmic modulation. Now I align the pulse with the 3 side. Tucka de, tucka. Now we're going to go to 4. Tucka de, tucka de, tucka de, tucka de, tucka de, ge, 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 get de, ha! I almost made it. I piled too many things on there, you guys. Did you notice when I was accenting? That's hard. When I was I should have practiced more before I made this video. When I was accenting, what came out was when we subdivide, we go from the 4 to the 3, right? Which makes sense. So what was that? That was like 4 with 3, like we did earlier. It's just slower, right? It's bigger and more spread out. So I'll try to do that again. But what I want to do right now, I'm not going to add a bunch of layers because I'm making a video right now and it's just too much pressure. But what I will do is I want to point out that what I did in the second part was I went from a 3, right? And then I started, I superimposed the 4, but then I changed my foundation to align with like the 4 part. So in a way I slowed down my pulse, right? Let me do that again. We're going to go 3, subdivision, takiti, takade, 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 and then we're going to go to 4s, takadege, 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 and then we're going to align with the tas again, right? If that makes sense. So I just did it, but let's do it again. Taka de 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 ge 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 taka de ge. All right? So that's called a rhythmic modulation or a metric modulation because we actually went from like a 3-based pulse dot dee dee dot dee dee dot dee dee dot dee dee to a 4-based pulse dot dee 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 dot dee dee dot dee dee dot dee dee. So we slowed down the rhythm by like a third, right? Because we took an extra triplet. We had 1, 2, 3, and then we turned it into that. It was 1, 2, 3 distance, and we just added another note between the pulses. So you can look at it as we increased it by a third or we increased it by 25% or something. I don't know the math. But we added, 33% we added, or we ended up with 3/4 of the old one and now 100% of the new one. I don't know. You guys figure that out. All right? That stuff is pretty cool. So that's my particular method or exercise. Now, what I recommend that you do with that is not just do it on a drum. You don't need a drum to practice this. You can step. What I would do is step the pulse. And if it's a 3 pulse, then you're going to go in, 1, 2, in, and then back. So right, and then left, and then left, and then step in, left. So we're going to go in, let's call it out, out, and then in, out, out. So you're going to shift your weight forward, neutral, neutral, forward, neutral, neutral. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, if it's a 3 bass. So taka taka de 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 ge 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 taka de ge. So when you're stepping, and then similarly with the 4 bass, taka de ge taka. So you step, 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 and then 1, 2, 3. So that would just be like a step in, 2, 3, 4, step in, back, back, back. All right. If it's a 4 bass and then you switch and change your phrasing, that adds a whole nother layer, you guys. It's just really interesting. So you can, again, let's review because it's kind of a lot here. And then I'm going to talk about how you can use these ideas in your soloing and fills and things. You've got a 3 subdivision in the main beat, and then you keep the note the same length, but you phrase them in 4s, and then the opposite, right? So you can go from 4s to 3s. And then you can also modulate the pulse with the new phrasing, so it lands on the beginning of the new phrase always, right? So that just simplifies it. And you can go up and down. You can sort of speed it up, slow it down. For example, if we wanted to increase our pulse, the pulse rate, the fundamental step, we can start with a 4 and go to a 3. Taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka de, 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 taka de. And then what we can do is we can actually change the subdivision. Taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka dege, 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 taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de. Taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka dege, taka de, 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 taka. You see what I'm talking about? So by shifting 4s and 3s and the phrasing and the pulse and the beat, and then you can replace, a 3. Also, you can go from a triple to a like 16th notes. Taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de, taka de. That's another way you can modulate. And so you can mix and match all of that and just keep going and experiment. Just with either taka dege or taka de. You don't need to do other sounds. You can, and you can do your own sounds. It doesn't matter. Don't do what I'm doing unless you like it and you're comfortable, all right? Part of being a musician, you guys, is finding out what works for you and discovering, your own stuff and putting this with that and creating a new thing, all right? So that's what I did with this, and I'm not taking credit for all this. These are all just pieces of things that already existed, but I'm just presenting it to you in this package, like the Kalani, whatever, Kalani way of doing it, because that's what I did. I just did my own thing. Like I said, there's konoko, there's solkatu, there's taketina, there's a lot of other things out there that you can learn. A lot of them are codified, and it gets into, the thing that I don't like about some of those is you can get into like a right and a wrong way of doing it. That's not what this is about at all. This is just about experimenting and growing and trying things out. So in that spirit, and I do want to, I know these videos are getting pretty long, but I do want to wrap this up in a musical context. And so now I want to talk to you a little bit and give you some examples of what good is all this stuff, right? What have we been doing? Why have we been learning all these things? And the answer is so we can be a better musical partner, so we can better express ourselves, and so we can have more comfort and control over what we're doing, so we can play the music we want to play. You know, it's that simple. We're doing this work so we can relax and be free as artists, and have more colors in our palette, you know, have more freedom, have more joy while we're playing, and not feel like we're working as hard, because we've done the work and we've developed the skills. Now, applying this stuff, we want to be musical, right? And we want to be a good partner, like I mentioned earlier. So just touching on that idea of showing up. You're going to show up, and when it's your turn to play something steady and have fortitude and lay down the beat, then you need to do that, right? So it could be, you could play a lot of different things. Maybe you can play a lot of different things, but when it's your job to just play a simple beat, then just do that really well and just play a simple beat, and don't try to play everything you know, all right? That's number one of being a tasteful, good musical partner, all right? Don't overplay. Nobody wants to play with people that are filling in all the space and overplaying, all right? Believe me. Number two, when you want to do a fill, or let's just start with a fill, all right? Now, you've got options now. You can play a lot of different figures. You can switch up your rhythms. Like, you know, let's go with the standard rock drummer fill, like the first fill everybody learns, right? So you're playing, and you play 3 bars, and then the 4th bar, all right, you just do the you can just do something simple like that, but then you can subtract some notes, like keep that in your mind, but subtract some notes, so you end up with like a right, a variation. Doesn't have to be complicated. So that, what I just did is a little syncopated, but it was all coming from that idea that we did earlier of alternating and bringing out notes. Get it, you know, or get it. Simple, you guys, easy. And now triplets and rhythmic modulations. Get. Right? Make triplets. All right? And that's what you hear a lot of accomplished drummers doing, is they'll take a triplet and they'll phrase it like in 4s and things. That's what's happening a lot with at the more advanced levels. I don't have a super high degree of mastery in that area, but I'm just kind of pointing you in that direction if you want to go there. But you know, you don't have to play fast and fancy to play something tasteful and satisfying. All right. Lastly, when you get a chance to solo, or you want to just play at home for yourself and like experiment and compose things, you've got a ton of tools now. So try to do some of the things that we've talked about, like the alternating, handing, bringing out accents, going from triplets to straight, going from swing to straight time, changing your phrasing, modulating your phrasing, modulating the pulse. All those kinds of things are possible for you when you practice them, and then you can just kind of roll right into them, and you're not just putting, you're not throwing things out there just to see what sticks to the wall. I guarantee you guys, every single professional musician, whether they're a drummer or not, a percussionist or not, and they're playing, and even though it might sound super chaotic, like they know exactly where they are. Believe me, it might sound crazy, but that's what's amazing about it, is they know exactly what they're playing in relationship to the pulse and the phrasing and the whole cycle and the timing. So, but that being said, if you're playing and you get lost, let's say you do a fill, you're playing, you hear the beat, and you're playing, and this happens sometimes, and you play a fill, and you're just like, I lost the beat, then just stop, or just do something simple, and listen, and find your way back. Listen for your phrase. Remember, I said earlier, it's your friends, your partner's responsibility too to keep the orientation to the beat. So hopefully they're doing that, and if they are, just stop and listen and get back on and rejoin. Okay, don't worry. Make the most of it. All right. So don't beat yourself up. What I'm saying is, don't beat yourself up if you lose track of the beat. It's okay. Everybody goes through that to some degree, and it's probably a sign that you're playing something that's a little outside of your comfort zone. So that's what you need to work on. And then the next time you practice, you just go and you practice something, and then you try it out. But I also, with that being said, I don't want to give you guys the impression that I'm saying that you should always be really conservative in your playing. I think it's good to experiment. It's good to, push yourself. But maybe try it, with some friends at home first before you go try to make a record. But thank goodness when you are recording, you can hit that re-record button a lot of times and do a second take or a third take or a 30th take in some cases. All right. You guys, if you need any support and you are a patron, you can reach out to me. If you're not a patron and you don't want to be, it's fine. You can leave your comments down below, but leave something helpful for the people here. Like you can add something useful. That would be great. I am at patreon.com/Kalani, and there's so many more things over there. So I'm like, with all these lessons, I will leave links and other resources in the Patreon post of this lesson and the whole course. And there's 6 parts to this. So if you missed any of the first parts, go back and watch those. So in the whole course, you guys, we've learned, from the very beginning, what is rhythm, talked about beats and pulse and phrasing. We learned what meters are and how to look at and think about notes and how to write notes, how to write a time signature and understand it. We've talked about notes and rests and how to group notes, and we talked about triplets and straight time and swing time, all kinds of stuff. We looked at polyrhythms and rhythmic modulations, how to create syncopated rhythms through accents, all of that. And I just want you to know that I'm still here for you. If you have any questions or you have any requests, send them my way. And just thanks for stopping by World Drum Club. I'm really proud that World Drum Club is the most subscribed channel of its kind on YouTube. We have over 1,000 videos at this point. So if you appreciate that, show us some love and join us at Patreon. Support the channel. And tell your friends. Recommend it to your friends and colleagues. World Drum Club. We're here for you. I mean, our mission is just to help anyone who wants to develop their joy and capacity for playing drums and percussion and other instruments too, not just drums and percussion, but anything, just to be a better musician, you guys, and enjoy playing music, and then help other people enjoy music, going and playing for them, being a better teacher, being a better musical partner, representing music in the best way that you can. That's my mission, and I hope it is your mission as well. So thanks for joining me in that, and I will see you guys in another course. Feel free to look around the channel while you're here. Join us at Patreon if you like, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.